Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review. Daphni Jiaolong. It's a dude.
Oh.
Daphni, as Counter Chester just found out, is actually the pseudonym of longtime electronic music producer Daniel Snaith, aka Caribou, aka Manitoba. And I'm listening to this album and I'm like, in my head, what's going on here? What's going on here? Two of my favorite electronic music producers this year, Caribou and Fortet, both release albums that are comprised of simpler, more straightforward tech house songs in more of a compilation style, considering the fact that there were tracks released long before the release of this LP that were singles. There was even a track off of this LP that landed on a split with Fortet, and I do know that these guys are conscious admirers of one another's work. So, I mean, what's going on here? Are they in competition? Are they competing to write straightforward, kind of boxy tech house songs, seeing who does it better? Probably not. You know, probably not. But I would like to pretend that they are. Yeah. So yeah, basically on this LP, Daniel Snaith works with the robotic, repetitive, and subtly progressing sounds of techno and house, building these songs on a variety of textures, synthesizers, and samples. And overall, this LP is a real mixed bag. Not a lot of obvious connections between these tracks other than their sort of genre consistency, but still fun for the ride for the most part. There's some great sounds and samples on this LP. For one, the big fat synthesizer on the track Yes, I Know, and I love the soul sample on this track too. Even though it is a very repetitive sample, you know, it's kind of a short loop, it does make the track pretty catchy, and it is a standout section of music to put into your track. I mean, the female vocal on this particular sample is I love you so emotive. The second track takes a bit of a lighter approach with a lot of hand drums in this. It actually kind of feels like a combination of Afrobeat, house, with a lot of psychedelic synth swirls just surrounding the beat. The track Light is another mood change on this LP. While it is still a tech and house song and does have a straightforward rhythm, it's really bubbly and kind of quirky and has these kind of glitchy synths popping up all over the place. It actually kind of reminds me of the Popcorn song, but grown up, matured, gone to college, made out with some girls, took some shrooms, you know, passed a few classes, you know, like had some experiences. And the closing track on here has a rhythm that is actually just awash in some very calming and nice synth textures. It's like a wall. Many of these tracks push some pretty irresistible grooves as well. Some of these grooves are harder than others. But what really makes some of these tracks awesome are just their detailed progressions. Daniel Snaith is a meticulous producer, and it shows on these tracks. To me, electronic dance music, especially when we're talking stuff like this that does have a strong repetitive element to it, it's kind of like a game of chess. You know, in order to stay in the game, you think about a lot of your moves ahead of time. And I have to say, I don't really feel like he approaches these tracks with that attitude. For a good handful of the songs here, in a way, he does kind of throw caution to the wind. For one, the track Pairs has one of the least interesting grooves on this entire LP. It's a bit dinky. What the synths are playing, it's kind of elementary, and there's this moment in the track where just out of nowhere, there's this synthesizer that comes in emphasizing the groove. It's like a dentist drill piercing straight into my ears, not only because it is a very sharp sound, but for whatever reason it is mixed like twice as high as all the other sounds in the entire track. The song Jiao has this guitar sample in it that when it is played in full, it doesn't really find its way into the groove of the track. It kind of dances around the groove like in a game of musical chairs and just cannot find a seat to put its ass in. And the song Spring, this has a kind of sporadic approach. While the beat is repetitive, Daniel Snaith has the synthesizers popping up all over the place that at times can be just as sharp as some of the synthesizers that I heard in Pairs. And it's spots like this where I just kind of feel like, you know, the sounds aren't even that interesting. The patterns that they're playing with aren't even that interesting as well. Their randomness isn't so disorienting that, you know, it's kind of glitched me out or made me feel something. It just becomes this thing that I'm sure is fun for Caribou to execute, but it's not really that fun for me to listen to. And again, the synths on that spot and a lot of spots here are just mixed so loud they drown out everything else, or they become kind of ear-piercing. But still, it's enough to keep me from loving this LP, which I was originally really looking forward to. Feeling a light to decent 6 on this. What do you think of it if you've given it a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And what should I review next? Anthony Fantano, Jiaolong, Daphni, forever.